really trying to make this video. It's taking a lot of guts and nerve for me to finally come out and speak about this. So bear with me. Hopefully, those who need to hear this can get what they need out of it. I think everybody can use something out of it. Life is a crazy journey, fun journey. So that's kind of what I'm sharing with you today. I'm sharing with you my testimony and how Jesus touched my heart in the way he did so I could see him in the lens I needed to see him through. So, without anything else to say, my name's Joe Just. Here's my testimony, and I'll start from the beginning. First off, when I first found Jesus, I was 23. Now I just turned 26. But where it all started was about 5 years ago. I was driving to my friend's house, and I just knew for a couple weeks, months, I've been pondering, there's something more out there that I don't understand, but there's more to life than like this, like materialistic, like this world, the earth. There's more out there. What is it? I've been Catholic my whole life, just going to church every Sunday. It's really all it was. But, anyways, so the thing that hit me was I'm going to my friend's house, and I had a special number that I loved, and I would see it often. And I was just really like, if there's something more out there, show me. And I saw the number 57 on my clock, and then I saw it on like my phone somewhere else on the clock, and then somewhere else. And this was all within seconds. And then a truck passed by with the license plate 57 on it, and then a car passed by with the license plate 57 on it, and then another car passed by with the license plate having two 57s on it. So that really hit me, and for some reason, just that scenario made me believe, wow, there's something out there that I just don't understand, but I want to understand it. Like there's something I'm really missing. So that was the start of me questioning life and really what is life? Why are we here? What's the journey? Um, so yeah, that was in my back pocket for a year. Nothing much happened for that, but that was that. Just getting me on the track of questioning stuff. So the second thing, and I said this was like a year later, I go to help out my grandparents in Florida. They getting older, so me and my sister, we went out to help them. On our journey out there, we we got to Florida, and it's probably 1 in the morning, and we had to get a taxi to get to where my grandparents are staying. And it's 1 in the morning. Who's gonna give us a taxi ride? So we go out, talk with a couple locals, taxi drivers. Hey, who wants to drive us? Because it's a 2.5 hour drive there. So no one really wanted to drive us. So they say, the taxi guys kind of chuckle and say, we got a guy for you. And me and my sister are like, all right, cool. Someone's willing to drive us. We'll take it. So we get in this car, and the guy's really super nice, good guy. And we start driving. And once we get like 30 minutes in, he starts really, because he's got us in the car for 2 hours, he really starts to hone in on us and where we are on our faith walk with Jesus. We don't know anything about this guy's background. He's just a guy driving a taxi. So he's really asking us, what's your beliefs? Do you believe in Jesus? And really just putting it on us. And in that moment, when he was putting it on us like that, so hot and heavy, what I call the flesh, and I didn't know this at the time, but the flesh is very worldly and cynical, and the flesh wanted me to like not listen. It wanted me, I was even scared. Like, I was like, do I have to fight this guy at the end of it? Because I was so like scared and living in the flesh, and he was living in the spirit. Um, so in that, in someone that's really in the flesh and in the spirit, when they come together and talk, sometimes there's tension there with the person in the flesh because they can't comprehend this. They don't have the spirit with them yet, so it's harder for them to. The enemy's trying to hold them back, pretty much. So on this drive, he goes, "Well, do you believe in Jesus Christ?" And me and my sister are like, "Yeah, we go to church. Yeah, we believe in Jesus Christ." And he was so charismatic, such a good person. He goes, "All right, say this with me." And he's like, "Repeat after me." And he's like, "Is Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior?" And then we would say, "Yes, Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior." And it go on and on about repeating stuff to get, he called it freshly baptized within the Holy Spirit. And so that's pretty much what he did. And through the whole thing, I was, my brain was like half there and half wasn't, where I was like accepting it and I was like, let's do this. Um, and that was I think, the pinnacle moment where Jesus saw me reaching out for him. Well, first, grace of God put this guy in our life, but he saw me reaching out for him and really it, kind of accepting him and understanding there's more and wanting to see more. And then that's kind of when I think Jesus was like, that was another stepping stone. There's a lot of stepping stones in this story. That was a stepping stone to be like, you're ready for the next part of the story. So we did that. But what I have to say is, at the end of this car ride, the guy was so happy that um, me and my sister were now his brother and sister. He loved it. He called his wife at 2 a.m. and we talked with her, and it was just like a really weird experience. And then like when we got to the my grandparents' place, he wanted to go help us with our luggage inside and stuff. And so there's a front gate, and I didn't even let him pass the front gate because I didn't trust, the guy was just so like my flesh, and I just didn't trust the guy because he was freaking me out. And that's what it'll do. It'll kind of freak you out when you're in the flesh and there's someone in the spirit, because you just can't comprehend it. So I had him drop us off at the gate, and then we took our luggage in and went, and he was kind of like, well, why are you doing this at the gate? Anyways, so that, why I say this part of the story is because that kind of triggered me on more of a trajectory, like, oh, Jesus, I'm opening up for you. Please come in with me. Because if you don't open up to Jesus first, then he can't really come and dwell within you. So now we're going to get to the deeper part of the story. And from that moment, let's go a year. And this is when Jesus really hit me. This is when it was like no turning back. This is the moment. Was I going to take it and run with it? Or was I going to be scared and get knocked down? This is a big test for me. So I worked for a lawn care company. I did lawn care, do lawn care. And God put an amazing mentor in my life. And it was like someone that needed to be in my life for that season, because he, again, grace of God, put this guy in my life. He's a older gentleman, and he knows Jesus, and he wanted me to know Jesus. And he knew I was lost. He knew I was trying to figure it out, but I was so lost. And he kept on poking me the right direction. Why I say lawn care is because the company I was working for, he was looking to help it grow. And he flies around the country, and what he really does is he helps companies become more profitable. but his real goal or his real job, I think, is being a disciple, and he disciples to multimillionaires that maybe found the money before they found Jesus and they really need that alignment. I feel like that is kind of what he did. I mean, this guy's from a different state and he flew over some random spot where I am, and he starts talking to me about this business because I was looking to buy the business, but that wasn't God's plan. But anyway, so he saw me looking to buy this business, and he saw a great opportunity to help someone find Jesus first, because he knows that's what needed to be done. So the grace of God again gave me him, which was just so beautiful. And he was another spot to get me like lined up to like literally tee up the ball so I can hit it with like everything I got when the time comes. So now we're talking about three things that happened. First, I saw the numbers that made me question more. Second, I had that guy in the car, the taxi guy, kind of baptize me again, let me accept Jesus Christ into my life. Third, I have this mentor that comes in who really knows Jesus well and knows I need to be discipled in the right way. And he was kind of a lifeline for me going through this journey, because it was a really hard journey. Like, I didn't even know I'd ever go through something so hard. And he had to coach me through it the best he could. And so now we're going to number 4, when it begins. The beginning of the end. So, anyways, I'm going to put this in the story form now. I'm working doing lawn care. Hard work. I come home from a long day. I get home, nothing of it, just a normal day. My parents were arguing in the garage. Love my dad, love my mom. They're great people. They made the person I am today is because of them. So I love them to death. But anyways, I'm tired. I walk into the garage. They're arguing. They've argued before. It's nothing new. But this time it was more aggressive. And one thing I have to say, my mentor before this, and how I said he really guided me, there was one issue I had, and it was I had an ego. And he explained to me, he goes, Joe, you need to drop your ego. And, at the time, I don't know exactly what he's saying and why he's saying it, but I just knew I needed to listen. I knew I needed to be coachable. Once you can learn to be coachable, then you can find the more value in the other things you need to learn. So that you might not understand it, but you can be coached through it. So I accepted him to coach me, and so he's coaching me. He says, Joe, there's something called an ego, and he says you need to drop it. So to get back to the story, I get home from work, mom and dad arguing. I go into the garage, and I always go to my mom's side because I love my mama. And my dad is really going at it with my mom, and they're going back and forth. And to me, the conversation was so just monotonous. Like, why are we arguing about this thing that really means nothing? Anyways, so I get in between my mom and my dad. I turn to my dad. I go, Dad. And by the grace of God, again, this just happened. I said, Dad, I am completely dropping my ego. And I had it in my hand, my ego. I could feel it. And I dropped it. And it fell to the ground. It shattered. And for some reason, that was really holding me back. That was kind of the missing puzzle piece that I needed to drop. Because all through this journey, there's stuff you need to learn, drop, grow, everything. That's why this is a complicated conversation, complicated world, is because there's not one right answer. Everybody's different. Everybody's got to do it differently. So I'm talking to my dad in the garage. I said, Dad, my mom's behind me. I say, Dad, I'm dropping my ego. Shattered. I could feel it in my soul. It just shattered. And as I was looking him in the eyes, trying to understand why he was so um, mad, his eyes changed. In that moment, his eyes changed to they looked like cat eyes. The middle part, the black part, was like cat eyes, and then it was just white. But they changed, and then the way he was looking at me, it changed too. Like he was scanning me, like this. And in the split second, I realized I am not talking to my dad right now. Who is this? So for however long that conversation was, it wasn't too long, but I was scanning him, like understanding what am I looking at, and he was looking at me, still irate. It was the best way for me to describe it is like it wasn't my dad anymore because I know who my dad is when I talk to him. He wasn't even in his own body. It was something else in his body controlling him and talking. And the outpouring I got, like the thing I got from it was I'm looking at it in its eyes, and its eyes looked completely different than human eyes. And the way it was scanning me was very interesting. And I just remember just really pondering that and thinking about, like, wow, that's weird how it was looking at me. And even the language it was using, it's almost like it turned into the conversation really got hot and heavy with no language, just understanding what I was looking at. And it was just, it felt like some type of beast, that I was looking, like that I was right in front of. So bottom line, I slowed down the argument with my dad and my mom, and then I went inside because I was ready, take a shower, and go to bed. Worked hard. So I do that, take a shower, go to bed. The next day, I get up, obviously contemplating in my head, what did I just witness? What did I see? And I went to work, and I'm working, I'm mulching. We're mulching right now. So I'm mulching, throwing mulch around. So I'm in a mulch bed, and this is at a outlet shop, a big outlet like shopping mall. And I just remember so vividly, this is the point where I realized Jesus is so real. So real. Like, I could never go the other. Like, Jesus is so real. I'm in that mulching bed, and I'm trying to understand what happened the day before with my dad and what did I see, because it was hard, it was hot and heavy, it was no joke. So I look up this YouTube video on this guy that's kind of known, and I typed in are demons real? And this video pops up, and I start listening to this video, and somewhere in that video, instantly right there, it clicked, and it all made sense. My dad wasn't even there. I was dealing with a demonic influence that was taking over my dad in his heightening the anger. It wasn't him, it was somebody else. And in that moment, when it like clicked, the light bulb, like literally the light bulb moment went on, I dropped to my knees. I couldn't walk for like an hour. So I'm in this mulch bed, and I have workers working around me and stuff. What's the matter? What's going on? And this is something I can't explain. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, nor do I want to explain it, because it's so, people look at you like you're crazy if you try to explain something like this. So I'm just on my knees, like just trying to talk with Jesus and saying, Jesus, I know you are so real because you've showed me the other side so vividly. I want to always be with you and keep you in the center of my heart. And it was so hard. Once I accepted the fact that Jesus is real and there's real demonic influence throughout the whole world, then like once I could like actually walk again, because I tried to get up and I'd just like fall back to my knees because it hit me so hard and it was so true. And so like I never thought in a million years that I would ever go through something like this, or even what I was about to go through. It was rough. And I just thank God that I've been through this because it shows me him in such a clear light. So from that moment on, I say God had to hold my hand, and I know he was holding my hand through this. He had to take me through 40 days of hell and 40 nights of hell. I journaled it. Just that made sense. Hindsight looking at it. And so right there from that moment, it was like I went through another door. God was like, wow, now you really know me and want me like really bad. So like even when I was at Jefferson Point that day, at the outlet mall I was at, I saw like for the first time in my life really, I saw like gossip, I saw lust, I saw pride, I saw envy, I saw bad behaviors. And these are all things I've seen before, but it never connected. This time it actually connected. And it connected hard. And the perfect biblical kind of scripture is God says, you know, it takes the veil off you. That was the most known time where it's like the veil is off. Like it is off, and I'm just rocking through this. And all I can do at this point is really cling to Jesus because everything was so new to me. Like the world, from that point on, the world was never the same. Like it's never the same. It never will be. And I totally had to rethink and realign myself with every single thing in the world. I question everything after that because I'm like, where am I wrong and where do I need to go to be right? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? I want to align myself to walk the righteous path. So after that day, the next day I talk with my mentor, the one with the lawn care company that came out to help it, but he's really an angel for me, really an angel. And I call him and I go, Bob, I'm just thinking like different, like crazy. Something along those lines. I text him that. That's what it was. I text him that at night. Because, you know, who do I turn to? I know Bob was kind of pushing me through this journey. And he texts back that night. And I'm outside. You know, life kind of becomes a movie once you really find Jesus. You really start living your character in your movie. And Bob texts me back. He goes, if you're crazy, I'm crazy. I'll give you a call tomorrow. And it is dark outside. I'm in my driveway and I am jumping up and down because I finally have somebody that I can talk to about this and they can comprehend it. Because before that, I couldn't go to anybody. I felt very, very me. There's no one out there but me. Like it's just me. It's just me in this game. And so that was the first like relief of someone else gets it, because I have other mentors that there's different levels of understanding of this and how to coach somebody through it. So Bob was like my go-to guy. So anyways, I call Bob the next day and we talk, and from what I gathered from the phone call, all this stuff starts happening so fast. But from what I gathered from the phone call, we talked about it. He loved it. He loved that he kind of helped wake me up from my sleep. And at the end of it, the only thing I really remember from it was he said, "Don't let Jesus leave you." Like he very strongly was like, "Stay close to Jesus. Stay close to Jesus." Like he wanted that in my head. And and I was like, and this is, I'm questioning everything about life. I don't even know why I'm looking to buy this business. I don't even know who to my friends, my family. I don't know, like, what am I doing on this earth? Why do I have this? What is this even for? So really question everything. So through this journey, God started pruning stuff from me that he knew. Like he knew I was deep, I was in it, and he starts pruning stuff that I don't need for the journey, that I can leave behind, that I've moved past, because you're constantly changing and growing, and you need to let things go. So he starts doing that to me. And through this letting go, it gets scary because once I hit the pinnacle moment of accepting Jesus into my life, the enemy, and this is for everybody, not just me, the enemy wants to attack you so much more because he sees the love and what you're actually finding true love, and he sees that and he gets so mad, so irate about that he wants to do anything he can to strip that away from you, to make you lose focus, lose vision. He wants you to cower in a corner and just cry and feel like that's it, that's the end. When you have to keep on pushing, like I had to keep on pushing to really find and accept Jesus fully and get deeper with him. You constantly, everybody's in a journey until the day they die to get deeper with Jesus. And so everything's new. Going to work, people are trying to talk to me like, "Oh, we're doing this today. We're doing this. We're doing containers. We're going out. We're it was kind of winter time, so we're doing flower pots and making them decorative." And for me in my brain, it was like I wasn't even there at work. Like people are like, "Joe, what's the matter? What's going on?" And I can't tell them what's going on because, how I saw it is these guys are stuck in the past, or they're stuck in their not seeing Jesus. And now that I see Jesus, if I say something to them, then they will try to kind of like change my perspective when I don't need coached by them. I knew I did, like they are not coaching me. I'm getting coached by the people I need coached by, and I know I need coached by. So I talked to Bob and my angel, and I'm going to work out. I worked out through this, and I'm at the Y. And I'm like, "Bob, I'm so scared." Because Satan was attacking me so hard. I was so scared I thought I was going to die. And a part of me was dying, but I'll get to that. But so I thought I was going to like die. Like someone's going to come in and just shoot me. Multiple times I thought that. Like the enemy was so deep into me where it was like I thought I've understood what I understood, and now some part of the enemy is going to come with a gun and just take me out and done, like kill me, assassinate me. So that was a real struggle. So he goes, so Bob understands where I'm at and this heavy stuff. And I'm like, I'll be honest with you guys. On the phone call, I was like, "Bob, am I going to die? Like, I feel like I'm going to die." And he goes, no, you're not going to die. He goes, "Don't say that. Like, you're not going to die." And he was even questioning it. And it just made it all worse. It made it all so much worse. So anyways, he says at the end of the phone call, he goes, "Joe, you need to find a professional." And I've been Catholic my whole life. went to Mass every Sunday, thought I was good just because that was my life. Like, good. Catholic, check. Box, checked. Move on. Anyway, super dangerous mindset to me. But God has his own timing with everybody. So at the end of the phone call, he goes, go talk to a professional. And when he said that, in the split second, I didn't think like, oh, a therapist. Oh, someone that can help guide me in that way. Or like, I didn't think of worldly things. I thought of, I'm going through a spiritual battle right now, and I could understand that. That's all I could understand. And so I was like, my priest, I can trust him. And Bob's big thing was, you got to trust him. You got to trust him. A professional you can trust. Like, in the second phone call, because I went to my priest and I scheduled a date with him to sit down with him for an hour, and I bawled like a baby, crying to him, explaining what's going on. I'm so confused. I don't understand. I had a journal, which is really smart to have, and I was writing everything down in the journal. I gave it to him. He read the journal. And from that point on, it was like my priest was my go-to guy, because I'm in a spiritual battle. I need someone that knows spiritual life very well. Boom. That was him right there. He knew it better than anybody else I know. And so that journey began. And I had 5 important meetings, I would say, with him to help keep me on the right line and keep the enemy away and keep Jesus close. And he knew what I was going through, and he knew it was pretty big stuff. So he helped guide me and coach me the way he could. Because Bob had to opt out because, he can only coach me so far. He lived far away from me. He's like, you need someone there with you. And that was him, my priest. And so through this journey now, I am going to Mass every day, every morning, because at this point in my life, Jesus has found me so hard, so, I never saw Jesus. I never talked with Jesus. He found me through the enemy. It was like I 100% saw the enemy. So by seeing him so vivid and he was so real, it was like Jesus Christ is so much more real than that. Like it just made sense. Like right there in the second, it made sense. And so I had multiple talks with my priest, and like I said, this all is like a movie. This all turns into a movie in my head. Like I am living something I could write a movie on. And so once I told him what I'm going through, he says, Joe, he goes, the end of his thing after I met with him for an hour and cried like a baby, which I was good, because by me crying like that, it allowed the things I was holding on to that I needed to drop, it allowed them to drop. So then I could be more aligned with Jesus. Like I said, I was just getting pruned through this process, and it was a really hard pruning process. One specific moment I realized through this journey was I go and I talked with my priest. This is like third talk. And I am struggling with like a friend, and I made a bad decision, and the enemy was so like trying to use that against me. And like how I said, I thought like I was going to get killed. Like that's the end of me. I'm going to get killed. I'm going to die. At the end of that, my priest goes, Joe, God always has the last laugh. And when he said that, it was refreshing at the time, but still confusing. So I go out to my car, and it's like nighttime. The wind was whipping like crazy, whipping like crazy. Like I said, it's like a movie, and it's whipping like crazy. I get my car all scared, and lo and behold, right there on my phone, that friend called. Freaking out inside, I called him back. We kind of discussed it, and we both agreed to just be done. Like that was it. The end of the conversation. Done. Move on. Driving home, windy, super windy. I get into my house, or I get up to my house. I'm so scared, freaking out. Like again, I'm gonna die. Like freaking out. Someone's gonna come up and shoot me. And so I pull into my driveway. The trash can was knocked over. It was so windy. There's trash everywhere. And I'm like throwing all the trash like back into the trash can to put it up. Because throughout all this, I'm still trying to be productive and like keep it together. And so I put all the trash in there and like looking down the street, looking what cars are coming, like so paranoid. And in that moment of grabbing all the trash and everything, God just sent grace so deep into my heart for that moment. And for some reason in my heart, it was like, I am okay. Like, I am going to be okay. Like, and I just started laughing. Like, I was just uncontrollably laughing in that moment and putting the trash in. But then right after that, it all went back to normal. But that was a very interesting, I think, timing of that. And so I go to walk into my house, and I walk in, and I go into my garage, and it's super windy, and my door, the door to the house, to the garage of the house, flings right open, like hits the wall. There's no lights on in the house. No one's home. And in my soul, I was just like, I am walking in here and someone's going to be around the corner and just, that's it. That's how this goes. Like, that's it. That's just how it goes. And so I walk in. Of course, I'm fine. And, the days continue. So the next big part was going to bed for me was very scary. Like I said, there was a point where it was God, and I just knew He was holding, I couldn't comprehend it, but I just knew He was holding my hand. And I knew no matter what happened, I know Jesus so well now that it's like if anything happens, I'm okay. And that's what the priest was trying to get into my head. So it really didn't matter what happened. But when I would go to bed right here, for 40 days and 40 nights, God was walking me through hell. Like He was walking me through hell so I could see what it was and what it's about, so I could coach in the way I need to coach, is my thinking of it. And so every night, I didn't know if I was going to wake up. Like, I just didn't know. Like, I was just very, like, I felt like, if I don't wake up the next day, that's okay, because that's God's plan. That's, like, what He wants, Once I have a new saying. Once I really got deep into this earth, to me, it's not earth anymore. This is purgatory. So I'm trying to live this life here on earth, on purgatory, to get aligned with Jesus. So then the next stop after this is heaven. So I had that mindset at this time, when I'm going through hell. And every night it was so hard on me that, because God would just take me, like I said, to the depths of things that it's like I can't even describe, like to the depths of it. And I was so scared, and I just knew my priest really understood, but no one else. I didn't talk to anybody else about this. Not even my parents know really much about this. That's part of this video. That's why I'm making this video. But anyway, so I go to bed every night for about a month. I would take my crucifix, have my crucifix with me, have a rosary around my arm, and I'd say my prayers. And when I would step into my bed, it would feel like the last step like I would ever kind of like take, and it was just the weirdest feeling. To show how hard it was even at night, before I did all my ritual, I had to strip off my sheets, and I would put 2 or 3 towels, bathroom towels, down on like where I'm gonna sleep. And the reasoning for that is because every morning when I would wake up, I would have, like, I felt like I looked like I jumped into a pool. Hair was even sweaty, sweat, everything so sweaty. And then the towels, like, I had to wipe off my bed and then take those towels and like laundry. So that just kind of shows the depth of the stress my body was going through during this time. And so where I want to go with now is through that journey, I'll take you back to like the day. As this was all going on throughout the day, one thing, I had to go and talk to my priest again. This is so hard. I had to talk to my priest again because I started feeling like the next step, and I started studying saints and stuff to like understand how this works or if it works. The next step was, for me, the enemy was so in my head now, hindsight, thinking at it, and he was like, end it. And why I'm going to say this now, like the reason why he wanted me to end it is because what I'm learning and the stuff I'm learning so I can pass on to others. In that moment, it was like he realized how much of a threat I was to him and his demonic world. So he was really like, you're done. Like, he was trying to, for example, when I was working doing containers at like these outlet malls, because it's wintertime, we're doing containers to make them look all pretty. And I'm working there, and they have like a little radio constantly playing in the background, and it was Christmas music. And all that Christmas music to me was all merging and changing. Like the like the words were like, it was like jingle bells, but it was like, kill yourself. And it was like super interesting to me thinking about it now. Like, it was constant. Whatever song it was something like, end it, you're done, move on to the next, good for you, like clap, like move on. And the devil is trying to disguise himself into like Jesus, and almost like it was Jesus portraying to me, like he wanted it to be like, oh, you think this is purgatory? All right, well, to get out of purgatory and to go to heaven, that's it. You need to end it yourself to make that next jump. And that there was like, so, that was another thing that was so hard. Like, I couldn't comprehend it. I had the demonic influence so screwing with my head this whole time. And so I go talk to my priest again, and I'm explaining this whole thing to him. My mind is so frazzled explaining this, not understanding it. I even wrote it down, like in my journal, writing it down. And like, this is how it's going to go down. Like, this is how I'm going to die. I wrote that down in my journal. And my priest, he hears this, and he just chuckles. It's me and him. I'm sitting in his office. I'm laying on his couch, just explaining this, like crying. And he chuckles. And in my head, I'm like, this is not a time to laugh. Like, I am like feeling like, again, I like the next day I'm gonna not be here. And he explains a story to me where Jesus was tempted multiple times by the devil, by Satan, to, well, if you're God, you can jump off this ledge and be okay, and like this and that. And I know I'm botching it, but there's three different ones. And through all those, he was like, no, 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 flee from me, Satan. I do not need you, or whatever it was, like that. So he explained that to me. And that gave a lot of reassurance that it was like, no, like, you don't need to kill yourself. And so that felt very, very nice to kind of understand that to a better concept. Because through all this, like I said from the beginning, I was totally questioning the whole world and how we function. So this is just part of it. And obviously the enemy is going to put his hand in there and try to screw it up. So that was that. But so my first real, like now we'll go back to during this journey of 40 days and 40 nights of real hell. When I go to bed, it was just war zone of all different multitudes. But anyways, one night that really stuck out to me. And I like the things that stick out to me are the things that are like heavenly and earthly, and they merge and align so then it can make sense in the now. So one thing that stuck out to me that I'd love to share is I'm sleeping in my bed, crucifix, got everything on me. And through this, I have to say I went and got my baptismal paperwork, my confirmation paperwork, because I was so like, if I do go out, like if this is the beginning of the end for me, then I want to just make sure I'm kind of like teed up to be like, to feel like okay. And so this one night I go to bed again, like in my head it's like, oh boy, what's tonight gonna hold, and freaking out. And so I go to bed and I had the weirdest dream, nightmare, hell. And I'm in my bed and I'm just fighting three, like this size, like little demons. I can't really figure like how they looked exactly, but they all had some type of sword. And I was in my bed and they were, fighting me, and they would come up on my bed and I would like grab them in my dream. I would like grab them and like throw them off my bed, and there was three of them. And so I'd grab them, throw them, so they're constantly coming up and I'm throwing them, kicking them, like trying to get them away, like out, like disperse from me. And this is the whole dream, the whole night. It was this. And they're stabbing me with their swords, and like very vivid. It felt very real. And so it was like that struggle all night. And when I woke up, heaven and earth like align, like hell, bring that in there, align those three. And when I woke up, it's just another dream, I suppose. And so I get out of bed, and right when I get out of bed, I like fell to like my knee, and I was like arched over really bad. And I had to, without like putting any thought into this, like I lifted up my shirt to see like how bad, or like if I was stabbed, like it felt like I was like stabbed in multiple spots around my body. And I had to like, without thought, like lift up and like, and once I realized what I was doing, it was like another direct moment right there where it was like, wow, what a spiritual war. What a spiritual war I am going through. To be now in the physical, and I had to check my shirt and my body to see if I had any damage, because I felt internally like I was stabbed. I was walking around limping. And then through that, once realize I'm okay, I look over at my bed. I had a pillow on the other side of the room. I had my sheets all were off my bed. My bed was just destroyed. Like, it was all throughout my room. And to me, that was just like sweet. Sweet as in like, it was seeing and whenever I could see the enemy clearly, it gave me relief, because I could see him clearly versus him hiding through, like saying he needed to, I needed to die. Like, for some reason, I needed to commit suicide. It was like, once I could differentiate like the enemy and the idea of suicide, and like rip those apart and like see the enemy, then it was like, it felt really good. So anytime I could see him very vividly, it felt really nice. It was like the next step I was moving towards. So, and this journey is still going on to this day. Not to that extent of the 40 days and 40 nights, because that was really nuts. But like, every day is a battle, and you just have to work through it. So my last thing I will sum this up with is, so there were three major points where the enemy really came to me. And why I stress these and preach these is because, like, God has showed me this, and like, he had to walk me through hell. Like, he told me, in a way, he said, Joe, like, I'm walking you through hell so you can know what it is, so you can know what to avoid. And one other thing he said to me, he goes, Joe, I'm giving you, and God talks through people, and that's how you just have to. And why I say at the beginning how I was like interested in learning more, and then I wanted to be coached is the key thing. You want to be coached so then you can understand more into your mind and brain. Through this journey, I got really close with my priest. He started really guiding me the right way, so I felt a lot of calm and peace in that. Till this day, no one really knows about this journey besides a handful of people. And now that's why I'm going to make it public. But the third thing where the enemy, through this 40 days and 40 nights, it was very hard. But like I said, God had to take me through it, and I just knew that. I didn't understand it, but I knew it. The end of the 40 nights and 40 days, the last thing I got left with, when all the chaos really dialed way, way back, was everything stressful, chaotic, real life, fake life. What is this? Why are we here? And when I go to bed this one night and I wake up to what life is. But anyways, it's hard to kind of relive these moments. So I went to bed, and I just remember behind you guys is my door. Right by my door was a very large, like, blackish figure. And it's really all I have to describe him, with a weird glow behind him, like a white glow, but the figure was all black. Very subtle. I was here in my bed, and I was like sleeping, and then it went to this moment where like Super intense, really fast, super intense. I see the figure by my door. And it was so intense. And in that second, too, it was like, he is leaving. Whoever it is, whoever this demonic influence is, it's gone. It's by the door. It's making its motion out. And in that split second, when I like wake up and see this thing, too, I am trying with all my might to get out of my bed and grab this thing by the throat. I'm laying down and I can just like I could slowly like reach out to it, but all I could do is lean up and like reach out to it, but I was like so determined. Like I was slowly like getting out of my bed to like get this thing. And my that was my initial reaction. It wasn't like scared, this, that. It was like I am going to go after you. And this is going to be worse for you than it is for me. And that night, like waking up from that the next morning and realizing what that was, that was the third thing that was like, so there's those three things that really hit home for me. And after that, everything really died down, like the spiritual journey. But I was still learning things and growing, and it was still hard. Don't get me wrong. I never thought I'd go through this in a million years, and it was still really hard. Um, but what I have to say to sum that up is, if life isn't or doesn't feel like what you really think it is, well, maybe there's more to it and you're not open to it. Like me, when I started, I questioned life, what it was, and I knew there was more. And in a sense, I found more. I found the deeper meaning of life. God works in funny ways. Sometimes you have to go through hell to get to heaven. I think that's a big part of life and living. I still work on this daily, my journey with Jesus, and it gets better and better each and every day. To say this story, I'm super blessed to even have this story, because if I never saw Satan and the demonic influence so heavy in my life, I would have never been, I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't be as close as I am to Jesus. The demonic influence is real. Not much people really want to participate in it or really even question it or think about it. And my best way to describe it to you is, Satan has his thumb pushed down on a lot of people's lives. And his goal with having his thumb over you, pushing you down, is he wants you to feel okay with where you're at. He wants you to be stuck in the monotonous of this world. He wants you to not question really who the Savior is and why Jesus gives us his teachings. So, to end this off, really question the stuff you believe in and why you believe in it. And the more you can align yourself with Jesus, the easier this world becomes. Not in a physical realm and just life gets easier. When you can understand where the enemy's at in your brain, in this world, in this chaotic life, when you can really see the enemy and hone in on that, life is still stressful. There's still ups and downs, but you understand the higher meaning of life. So you understand to not let the enemy control you through the ups and downs. So that's my testimony.